What could go wrong? I don't think this is where I'm supposed to be. Also, the birds stopped singing, so it's a little bit creepy right now. New Zealand is famous for its epic hikes and its stunning wilderness. But with all that adventure comes some real risk. So is it actually safe to hit the trails here? Hi, I'm Justine, the nerdy half of the Breakaway Bravehearts, and today I'm in Whangarei, New Zealand, about to head off on my first official walk / climb / hike / tramp. We'll find out which it is as we go, in New Zealand, up Mount Parihaka. On average, 5 people die every year in New Zealand on tramping related activities, and 3,000 injuries are reported. And that's everything from walking to full-on bush hikes. Tourists are overrepresented in these statistics, and it's mostly because they're unprepared. So as we walk up Mount Parihaka today, I'm going to give you tips about how to make sure you are prepared and safe for a walk in New Zealand. And I'll give you a good insight into what to expect in our forests. So my first tip is actually a bit of a language tip, because even though we all speak English, sometimes it gets lost in translation anyway. And you need to know the difference between a walk, a hike, and a tramp. Where we are now in Parihaka is normally considered by the locals a walk, or they could call it a track because it is a well-defined track. But tourists might consider this a hike, albeit an easy one, because it is a 2-hour return and it does include that classic kind of leg-burning uphill vibe. But most New Zealanders, when they hear the word hike, they think tramp. We call it tramping, and it's usually a multi-day adventure involving huts and staying overnight in the wilderness, and so this would not come into that category. My second tip is to do your research. There are a few great sites that will help you out, and today I'm testing out the Plan My Walk website, which was full of great information about weather and terrain, and it helped me choose a track and prepare for the day. Just a note, I've not been paid for this, there's no sponsorship or affiliation. I just like to review and share resources that I think might be helpful. So I've chosen Mount Parihaka because apparently it's got a little bit of everything and it's very beginner friendly. It's rated as easy on the Plan My Walk site, so we'll see whether or not it lives up to that. Now the weather today is a little bit dodgy. The sun's playing hide and seek. The rain is playing with it, apparently, and so we've got a little bit of both going on. I've got my sun hat and I've got my sunglasses, and I'll explain why your hat is actually super important in New Zealand. And I've got my raincoat, and I've even got rain pants, so I've got everything covered. When you search for Parihaka, you'll see there are actually 3 different walks to the summit. I've chosen the Hokianga track, but I am thinking of going down via the Drummond track. It's a steeper climb and it's rated as intermediate. Then we'll get to see the difference between the two. The site also shows you alerts for each track, and both the tracks I'm interested in don't show any alerts for today, so it's looking good. Other info the website gave me was moderate fitness and sturdy footwear are needed. So I've borrowed Mum's tramping boots, and she laughed at me, saying the locals skip up here in their trainers. My first clue that we were headed into the real bush was the footwear cleaning station. You are going to find these at most track entrances, especially in forest areas with kauri trees. They are part of efforts to prevent the spread of diseases like kauri dieback. It's a disease that is a recent and foreign arrival, and it seems to have taken off loving our soil. But we don't love it. It has rapidly destroyed our kauri forests. Going through the station is super simple, just follow the instructions. First you brush, then take a good look at your shoes, make sure that you haven't missed anything, and then step onto the disinfecting pad. It'll spray up, oh, that's cold. It'll spray a little spray of disinfectant on the bottom of your shoes and sometimes up your trouser leg. So my next tip is a heads up about something you'll see on the arrival form, which you need to fill out either in the airplane as you arrive or online before you come. They'll ask if you've been walking in wildlife or wilderness areas before coming here. Even the tiniest piece of soil can carry something harmful. So if you've been hiking overseas, make sure you declare that on your form. New Zealand has really strict biosecurity rules because our native ecosystem is fragile. We've been able to protect it as an island and we want it to stay nice and healthy and thriving. So please be honest on your forms, and that's for your own sake too, because you risk confiscation of your gear and potential fines. We have these very cute little beagles and they're very good at their job. They will sniff stuff out, so no point trying to hide it. This doesn't mean you can't bring your gear, just make sure you prep it well in advance. Okay, we're through. Now I think we're on the actual track. So let's see, is this a walk, a hike or a tramp? Okay, so it looks like the Plan My Walk site hasn't been updated for a while because the Drummond track is closed. I won't be coming down that track. It says the repairs will take place in early 2025. It's now October 2025, so this is well out of date. The site has not been updated for a while, so that's something to bear in mind. You'll probably also notice that they will show you their emergency procedures, or they'll be well placed on the wall. Just keep that in mind. We sit on the tectonic plate boundary between Australia and the Pacific. This makes us one of the most seismically active countries in the world. Every year there are 15,000 earthquakes, but thankfully most of them are way too small even to be felt. But definitely don't let the fact that we sit on the Ring of Fire put you off visiting, because it's what makes our country so beautiful. So I think I'm on the Whangarei track, but I haven't seen any signs, which is unusual. Usually these pathways are very well signed. So whether I missed it or something, but that is something to note. Okay, I think I am definitely already lost and I haven't even started, because now I've got another closed sign. But wait, there's more. Let's try this track behind me. I really am not 100% sure that I'm on the Whangarei track now. So I am on some track because it is well paved. So I feel perfectly safe. And in fact, there's still people walking past me in their sneakers and t-shirts and shorts. So yeah, I think it's a little early to panic. I think they just do this walk on their lunch break. Okay, I've found the Dobie track. It says 45 minutes to the summit, which sounds pretty easy. Let's give it a go. There's a lot of steps involved in this, but it's not the Great Wall of China type steps. I'm not huffing and puffing. So yeah, I'm feeling okay with this at the moment. And that guy just ran past me on his lunch break run. Tip number 3, don't trust the sky. People underestimate the terrain and the weather. New Zealand weather is highly changeable. And while it might look good in the morning, that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. The temperature today, I think, started off around about 13, got up to about 16, 17. So it's not hot, hot. I'm talking Celsius here, by the way. But you get pretty warm when you're walking. I didn't need these long sleeves for sure. Having said that, it could change in the next half hour, so we'll see. In the North Island, the climate is warmer and more subtropical. Further south, the weather cools down, especially in places like the Southern Alps, where conditions can shift quickly from sunny to snowy within hours. Okay, I think I'm about 3/4 of the way up, and it is starting to get a little bit more full on now, starting to puff. The track is really well cared for. The steps are even and the track is well drained, even though it rained quite heavy overnight. It's a little bit slippery in parts, but perfectly safe. I just got a glimpse of the harbour. Wow. Hang on, I'll flick this around. Not sure if my camera is good enough to show you without zooming in, and I haven't got on 4K. Don't. But trust me, that view is gorgeous. Now, the hat. The hat is super important here in New Zealand. Did you know that we have stronger UV rays than anywhere else in the world? Our UV index is actually 2 or 3 times higher than that in the UK and the USA. Yeah, it's not actually a great thing. Not on our list of celebrations of firsts. It's all because of this huge hole in the ozone that happens to sit right on top of us. Well, specifically, it's actually over Antarctica. but it's close enough to give us less atmospheric filtering than other countries. So wearing a hat, sunscreen, and UV protective clothing is pretty essential. The most important thing you can do is let somebody know where you're going, even if you're thinking it's only going to be a few hours. If you're at an Airbnb or a camping site, let the people know. Or you can actually, if you're on your Plan My Walk site, you can nominate an emergency contact. In New Zealand or overseas, filling out an intention form is a smart move. You can find these forms online. It only takes a few minutes. You've got to be saving your rescuers a lot of time and hassle, and therefore possibly saving your life. Okay, that seemed slightly dramatic for this little walk in the bush, but the statistics are pretty clear, and it's best to be safe than sorry. So when I said I was 3/4 of the way through, I think I was only halfway through. Hopefully now I'm 3/4 of the way through. It feels like I'm at the top, like I can sense these are the trees that are the top. I can see views poking out through the trees. Whew, yet the path keeps winding around, and there are still steps up and down. So yeah, I still classify this as easy in terms of, you know, it's not difficult terrain, but it is a workout. And my buns are going to be sore tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to need to stop and have a drink. It's important to bring your own drink bottle on these tramps or walks or hikes. And that's because although New Zealand has a great reputation overseas, without meaning to be ungrateful, it might be a little bit overblown or exaggerated sometimes. Not all of our streams and rivers are pristine. They're not all unpolluted, and you're not necessarily going to get clean drinking water everywhere you go in the wild. Many waterways, especially near farmland, popular trails or huts, can be contaminated with bacteria, giardia or farm runoff. Even if a stream looks clear, it still might carry harmful microorganisms or pollutants. So the safest practice is to treat or boil water from natural sources before drinking. The weather's held out for me, but I am glad I bought my hiking boots, or rather borrowed Mum's, because it is a bit muddy and slippery in places. I spoke too soon about it being hot too. I've had to put my raincoat on now. The wind has picked up. There's a little bit of rain in the air, but the clouds are looking dark and ominous. Near the summit, you'll find the Pa site, a little piece of Indigenous history. Unfortunately, the information sign is a little hard to read. It's a bit mucky, but to be fair, it's in the middle of the bush. If, by the way, you're wondering what a Pa is, make sure you click notifications bell with the subscribe button. Okay, because I followed the sign that said Pa site, I'm no longer on a formed track. It is a track, it's still a path. People have obviously walked this way, but I'm not 100% sure where I'm going now. What could go wrong? I don't think this is where I'm supposed to be. The path kind of just stopped. Maybe I better go back and read that sign again. Also, the birds stopped singing, so it's a little bit creepy right now. I'm going to head back the way that I thought I came, because then I'll be back at the Pa turn off, and there was a sign there, so this time I'll actually read it. I made it! It's beautiful up here, thoroughly recommend it. Sadly, the weather has turned just a little, so now I am grateful of my long sleeves, and I am going to need that jacket going back down, I'm sure of it. I will wait and see if the weather turns, because, you know, 4 seasons in one day, wait 5 minutes, it'll be sunny. Hopefully, because the view I can show you at the moment is not as good as it could be. It's still gorgeous, but there are black clouds behind rather than that usual glorious blue sky. All up, it took me just under 2 hours as a return trip, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm inspired for more. I've heard that Mount Manaia offers fabulous views, so that is definitely on my to-do list. Thank you for joining me on my first ever hike/walk/tramp. Which do you think it is? Tell me in the comments. And please join me for the next one. If you want to challenge me, you could suggest a route that I might take. Or perhaps you're heading to New Zealand soon and you want to know more, leave me some questions and I'll search out the answers for you. next week's video is the history of this site of Whangarei, or is it Whangarei, or is it Whangarei? Find out more. I hope to see you there. Until then, happy travels everyone.